afternoon YouTube, or good morning, good night, wherever you are. Okay, I should stop swaying back and forth in this chair, but it's addictive, I can't stop it. Anyway, what I want to talk about today, I'm going to continue the series, Our Bilingual Family. I got, well for me at least, I got quite a few hits on the last video, but no comments, so please, if you like or don't like anything you hear me say, put it in the box below. If you don't like it, please, not just outward negative criticism, please. Constructive criticism, I am always open to that. Okay, right, so what I want to talk about today, I have a little list, trying to be a bit organised for you guys. Basically, the plan we have, how we go about being a bilingual family, or how we work towards our son speaking both English and German to a similar level. I'm only going to talk about speaking for the moment, not writing, because that's way off in years and years in the future. And then, other than our plan, I'm going to talk about the reality, what really happens. Okay, first off, before I really get going, I am no guru. I am just a mum who happens to also be a linguist and a language teacher who is really passionate about this, and I'm just trying to, I'm working it out for myself. And I think if, I'll come back in say 12 or 18 years, we'll see then if it worked, if I have all the answers, but seriously, I really don't think I do. Okay, our plan. First off, yes, I know this book is in German. It's called Mit zwei Sprachen groß werden, translated loosely into English, growing up with two languages. And I haven't actually read it all yet. I read about half of it when I was pregnant. And basically what it said in the book is that there are, for a family like ours, or family like mine, there are two possible scenarios that we can use to make our son, to encourage our son to be bilingual. We can have a family language, or a at-home language, so to speak, or we can go, which would mean, say, we would choose, to encourage my son to also speak English, we would have English at home and then German outside. You can do that. The other possibility would be one parent, one language. My husband, being the German speaker, would only speak German, and me being the English speaker, I only speak English. We did actually go with the family household plan to begin with, because both my husband and I can speak both languages, reasonably fluently actually. Well, more than reasonably fluently. I'm really modest most of the time, but I should be honest, we are both very fluent. I'm not saying we're fabulous in everything we do, but one of the things we both seem to be pretty good at is English and German. I think that doesn't mean there aren't people out there who are much better than us. I'm not saying that. In fact, I've met some astoundingly good linguists in my time who completely blow me out of the water. So please don't think, oh, she's bigging herself up, she thinks she's fabulous. I don't. There are some people out there who are really good. Okay, yes, so we had our family household language. English at home, but what my husband found was that it was unnatural for him. He wanted to speak German to his son, which is totally normal. So we have now moved to the one parent, one language. My husband speaks German and I speak English, and by speak I mean I talk directly to my son only in English. I read him stories only in English. When I do read him stories, he finds them hilarious, so I don't read them before he goes to bed. I sing to him only in English, I play with him in English, I explain things to him in English. I don't really tell him off so much yet, but if I want to explain that something is dangerous, I do that in English. Everything is in English. And if, for example, I hear someone say, light in German, Licht, they point up to the light and say Licht, I will repeat it for him and go, yes, look, it's the light. That's, at least I try to do that most of the time. And my husband does more or less that in German. Now, that is our plan, and it is what happens a lot of the time. This is what really happens some of the time. Yeah. Because both my husband and I are fluent in both languages, we do feel quite at home in both languages. And to speak for myself, I think a lot in German. I have stopped thinking a lot in English. In fact, if I ever say anything strange on these videos, it's probably because I thought in German first. And it's quite difficult to control. I know there are a lot of linguists out there, and if I was doing this professionally at the time, right now rather, I would have to be able to, switch one language on and the other one off, and I find it very hard to do that. I dream in German as well, for example, and I dream in English. I think in English. I think in both languages, and I can start a sentence in German and then go into the middle in English and then go back to German again. That's not good, actually, and it's not good for my son. It would only encourage him to be confused, but that's the difficulty I encounter, and my husband has the same thing. Another thing is there are a lot of really, really beautiful books around here in the bookshops in German. I really want to read to my son, but they're in German, so according to my rule, I mustn't do that. And I do I kind of like grapple with it a bit. Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating sometimes. I would like to read them to him, but I know I mustn't. Another thing I find myself doing, so I keep looking at my list down here, is when I'm around others, people, even other people here in Germany, Germans that is, and most of my friends and most of the people I know are German, so some of them speak a reasonable level of English and some of them speak barely any. So if I'm talking to my son in their presence, I sometimes feel a need to say things to him in German because I feel like I'm excluding them from the conversation and I feel rude. But then I get frustrated with myself. I think, you should be thinking of your son's upbringing and him being bilingual, being able to speak English as well. So I feel very torn with myself as culturally and what is polite socially. Whether I should be speaking English or German, and what I'll often find myself doing is I go to say the thing, whatever I want to say first to my son in German, and then I'll re-explain it in English, and I don't know if that's really a good idea for the immersion that I want my son to have, to, the soaking up of English as well. I shouldn't say something in German and then re-explain it in English. I shouldn't be doing that. I don't think so anyway. And the final difficulty I can think of, or they've noted down so far, is as I said, I speak German a lot. I speak German around my son. The difference I want to make clear, around him, not directly to him. So if I'm speaking to my husband, I can be holding my son. I will speak to my husband often in German. We start the conversation in German, we'll stay in it sometimes. And so that means my son learns Mum can speak German and Papa can speak English. So it's I can't really say that we're going straight ahead with the one parent, one language, but I do my best to only speak directly to my son in English. Okay, right, let me think, is there anything else I can think of? Just quickly, why it's so important for my son also to be able to speak English. I want him to be able to speak to his grandmother, my mother and my family in English. I don't want him to grow up not being able to communicate with them. It's so important to me. And I want him to be aware of his culture, and mostly Celtic really. I want to be aware of his Irish and his Welsh heritage. And yeah, hopefully he'll see that as a good thing. Okay, time's running out, so I'm going to say bye-bye. And do comment and say hello. Bye-bye.